Hi, I'm Rowan.
Hi, I'm Zach.
And you're watching episode 3.10 of In the Zone. Today we're going to be discussing the Twilight Zone episode, The Midnight Sun, and reviewing it. We're going to spoil the whole thing, so if you don't want it spoiled for you, you should check it out before you watch this. We start with a painter painting a big ol' sun, and then we see the big ol' sun. It's hot outside. She pours some water from the little jar in the refrigerator.
Not a lot of water, though, that she pours.
Oh, yeah, that's a good detail. It's a great way to just let you know what's happening.
My first thought was, like, is she taking pills?
Right, but she's not, because she gets, like, and then she has to, like, look at it and see, yeah, it's a small amount of water, she's rationing it out. And then it's pretty cool how they don't start with people just talking to you and bombarding you with information. They just start with some science. Yeah. Then easy went to the situation.
So I feel like I was engaged for a long time, but like there was some laughably bad acting and some laughably like long and useless
I don't know about bad acting, but there were some really dumb moments.
There are some really bad actors.
Who?
Susie's mother and Susie's father. Susie's mother is the worst actor I remember.
I did not notice
Susie's father is pretty bad, but the mother is terrible.
Oh, I'll have to look at that.
Wait, no. Can we go like pull up the clip?
Like right now, like
yeah, like right now, because I have to show you.
Okay, well we'll be back in 20 minutes.
We'll be back after this. Sponsored by Brain Games, the game.
Alright, so we just went back and looked at the tape.
We have confirmed that Miss Schuster is not good.
I mean, I'm not surprised why she didn't stand out. I mean, she doesn't stand out is really bad. Just because she doesn't... I mean... Toronto! You see, because he only has one line. I think bad acting is more distracting when they talk, with the exception of Blinking Man. But, I mean, he's... in the background, just making dumb faces. He doesn't try
to Toronto. We're trying to go to Toronto.
Toronto. We're trying to get to Toronto.
We see a thermometer. I wonder if it will break.
Then there's this little girl who knocks on her door, asking for her water. Well, not verbally asking for water. What I've realized is that I think they pay you more if you have lines. So there are some. So there's some characters in these things, like especially in It's a Good Life, there are a few party attendants who like didn't talk at all, and it was really weird. Like if they said like, oh, if they like made a single sound, like they would get money, so they had to like, they're contractually obligated to be completely silent, so it's sort of awkward. And it's awkward here, and it's awkward in It's a Good Life when there's this weird old man standing there, if you remember that. What are you doing? Oh, you're making the faces that the wife was like,
Toronto, Mr. There's a cousin there.
So the little girl wants some water, and then she's about to give it to them. But then her parents come down. They're like, "Don't take the lady's water." And then it's Mr. and Mrs. Schuster. Where are they going?
They're going to Toronto. They're trying to go to Toronto. Mr. Schuster has a cousin there.
This is dumb. I don't know why I'm laughing. So they're leaving for Toronto. They're trying to get to Toronto.
Mr. Schuster has a cousin there.
And Miss Bronson is like, I think the landlady there.
Her left eye is just really weirdly small compared to the right.
I know. I think he was doing it on purpose. Like, trying to be... But I think she was doing it on purpose. Like, she could make her eye weird, because at the end, when she's like normal, like her real self, she was just normal. She's like, the highways are packed, I wouldn't leave. And there's a gas shortage.
And the bad acting of the scene draws attention that in this scene, Miss Bronson is not strong.
As an actor?
Yeah.
I think she's quite good.
Well, she's good throughout, but in this scene, she's a little weak.
Interesting.
She seems detached. Kind of.
Huh.
And you don't notice that unless Toronto, we're trying to go to Toronto.
Sort of accentuates that, takes you out of it.
Mm-hmm. And you're already so out of it that like...
Well, I mean, you're not really in it yet,
because
you just started.
But you're already like not... You're
because you weren't really compelled by the
and it's a bit of a shame, because you start out and it's like such an engaging opening because
Yeah.
Norma is very good in the opening scene. And
Toronto, we're trying to get Toronto. But is that the problem? Is that what takes you out of it?
well, it takes you out of it because
I didn't even notice
at
it
the
that
door,
acting.
and then like the kid is staring and the kid is scared, and you're like, I wonder what's going on here because you don't even yet know that because you know it's weirdly hot, but some might not think the Earth is falling into the sun, and you're kind of engaged,
Right.
and then it's like, Susan, don't take ladies, what Toronto, we're trying to go to Toronto. So, are you sure you should do that? Because I do not think that you should do that. That would be a bad decision. It's okay, I've got plenty.
Wait, is the problem the acting? Just the acting takes you out of the coolness of the big opening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
That was
it
a
is
problem
like,
for me. I
it
didn't
is
really
a cool
notice.
minute and a half, and like
Yeah.
I'm very drawn in
It
by
isn't
the first
literally
minute and a
cool.
half. Yeah, but I'm like, what's happening? And then
Yeah.
it's like,
Toronto.
Toronto, we're trying to get to Toronto, Mr. Cousin.
And then they leave. Good luck. And then there's just two of them left, Mrs. Bronson and Norma. And so Norma's like, I'm not leaving. And Norma's the painter, by the way. And so on the Mrs. Bronson is always like expository dialoguing, like what the radio said, like, oh, the radio said there's gonna only have 1 hour of water on per day. Norma has this, she's like, this crazy thought, like, I have this crazy thought, I'll just wake up in a cool bed, and none of this will have happened. Anyways, civilization, much like in It's a Good Life, civilization has sort of collapsed because of a problem. Like, the streets are all empty. Like, because people have just left the cities, so it's like there's no one to, like, do jobs and stuff. So everything's, like, all out of order.
Well, when civilization collapses, like, in history, when we've seen civilization collapse in a way, like with, like, Fall of Rome,
Mm-hmm.
the cities sort of become death traps.
In what way?
There are a
Not
bunch
because they're hot.
Yeah, not because they're hot, but there are a bunch of people vying for not a lot of resources in a
Right.
small area. There are looters, it's not safe on the street, there's not clean water.
Mm.
And, like, if, I don't know, someone who really likes zombie movies has, like, done, like, looked at all of those, and, like, in the zombie movies, you get out of the city. So advice from In the Zone, if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, exit the city.
Okay, I will be sure to do that.
Alright.
There was a scientist on the radio the other day. I mean, maybe it would be a bit better if we heard the radio rather than hearing someone explain the radio, you know, it would be a little bit less clunky.
But the thing is, the reason that they have to say there's a scientist on is because of what the scientist says. Like,
Well,
the
yeah.
scientist says that, like, the Earth left its elliptical orbit and is moving towards the sun.
Yes.
Like, if they try to have a scientist on the radio explain that in a coherent way, it will be laughably bad.
Yeah.
Because, like, the Twilight Zone sometimes glazes over
Yeah.
the science for the social
Yeah,
dynamics.
so to just have, like a layman say it. would make
I'm
no sense.
happy that they did that, because, like, there's no way to explain that in a way that makes sense.
So then we talked to Rod for a little while. Talks about Earth changing its orbit. It's bad. It's almost midnight, but it's still bright. There's no more darkness anymore. We fade to black. Come up. Norma's coming with the groceries. And she's like, there weren't any clerks at store, just people taking stuff. She's like, I got some fruit juice. And Mrs. Bronson's like, fruit juice.
Yeah.
I want that fruit juice.
Ms.
We
Bronson's
open a can of
acting sort
fruit
of
juice.
improves as the episode goes on, I would say, but in the first few scenes it's weak.
She really wants that fruit juice. So they open up a can. And then Miss Bronson, it's so good how you can see, like, she, like, is, like, urgently searching for the can opener. She, like, grabs the can, tries to get it, and then it falls to the ground. She, like, goes to the ground. She's like, oh, I'm acting like an animal, aren't I?
Okay.
He's like, no, just like a frightened woman. Norma's like, oh, well, I was scared too when I was at the grocery store. One woman just stood there and cried.
Like
And
a babe.
What I like is that they give you, like the Eye of the Beholder, you're in this confined environment, but they give you tastes of the outside world to see what it's like. I think that's really great. It's cool.
Yeah.
They just give you, like,
interesting.
what's great about the looter and about, like, the radio and about the family leaving and this woman in the department store, it's cool to have all these different stories come together and just realize we're just focusing on this one story, but there are lots of stories going on.
Then the radio comes on.
It's like, keep your doors locked and prepare yourself for looters. 110 degrees. And then the radio announcer goes off the rails. He's like,
Weather report. Weather report. Hot. Why do I even do this? What? They're saying, like, you're all dead anyways.
it's not, wait, can I?
They're saying
it's like,
that
basically,
Panic! They're all panic! Anyone in this whole abandoned city has panic!
He's like, you can heat up soup in the ocean. You can fry eggs on the sidewalk. He's like, talking, it's bad. Then he's like, hey, let go of me. And then he goes back to gas. And then they sort of like laugh uncomfortably at it. And she's like, you're not the only one who's scared. That's good stuff. Because I feel like an average episode would have just stuck to the story. But this puts in cool little touches like that.
And here you are.
That's so funny and sad.
Because like I was thinking, like, what do you do when you're on that planet? Like, do you get like a big booster and like, do you fire nukes into the Earth? Like, I bet you the U.S. has enough of a nuclear arsenal that we could just like bombard Antarctica and reverse the direction of the Earth.
Whoa, explain this.
I mean, this is not true. This is an exaggeration.
Right, but explain it.
Alright, there are enough.
Explain how
we all fire them simultaneously straight down at Antarctica and push the world in the other direction.
That's great. Norma offers Mrs. Bronson some juice, but then she declines. She's like, nope. But then Norma's like, we have to start living off of each other from now on. And so that's an interesting dynamic, these two people who were like, don't seem like they were really that friendly before this, but now these people working together against the elements.
Would have been nice if we saw that there were bad social dynamics between Norma and Mrs. Bronson.
Maybe.
Like, would have been interesting, shelter-ish almost.
Yes, but
this is a bad version of the shelter.
But you can sort of tell that they are not really close, but then all of a sudden they just sort of have to be close and sort of like start like going into the, I don't know, it's just an interesting dynamic. And also it's much more compelling to have two people than one. I don't know why, it just is.
Sort of feel like one person, I don't know, if it's a strong actor and well scripted, the like solitary, solitary dynamic, that's better if you have something more spooky. Right.
Sure, but then it's like, then there aren't really that many stakes. It's like, but now you have to look out for someone else.
I guess. Because if it's one person, you're going out the building.
Yeah. The power goes off, and then Miss Bronson's like, it's on a shorter time every day. What if it shuts off and then it doesn't come back on? Oh, it's hot now, but it can be so much hotter. And the music, oh man, this episode is really bleak and really sad, and I just sort of love that. It's just this total onslaught of sadness and stuff, and then the music. And then the music is like so like just bleak and like. Miss Bronson looks at this painting of this big old sun she did. He's like, please, paint something cool like a waterfall. Don't paint that sun. She takes it on the painting and tackles it.
Oh, this is bad acting.
It's sort of forced
grade. They should have had
forced sting. Like you need a sting, something to sting them, like to go to commercial break on, like something dramatic, but that doesn't really work. I mean, there are clearly some times where they ask the actors to do things that were uncomfortable or weird or could potentially go very wrong, and the actors were not always capable of making it work. So then we fade to black. We come up and it's a bit hotter. Like the thermometer, it's up higher and feels like wearing less clothes.
I wonder if the thermometer will crack and the mercury will boil.
So then,
I guess probably wasn't a theater trope when this was made.
Thermometers breaking?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that before.
I don't know. Sort of like, I saw that one coming.
Name one more example.
I don't know.
Or maybe it's not a trope, but it's just predictable, you're saying.
Yeah, and also, like, I don't know, I think you see it in, like, cartoons. Bet you it's happened in The Simpsons quite a few times.
Interesting.
It doesn't have a lot of use.
Yeah, it's like a visual hyperbole, like a little gag.
Yeah.
Her hand touches a leg, and then it's like hot. She like gets burned by it. She's like, has to pour water on it. This is Norma, by the way. And then she chats with Miss Bronson. They don't really say anything of note. Then they hear footsteps at the fire exit. And then Miss Bronson like doesn't remember if she locked the door. You can tell like just the heat like makes her stressed and doesn't remember stuff and doesn't remember to even lock the door. As we find out, because the door opens and then they run into the apartment, Norma's.
Oh, the door opens so slowly and like forced. I don't know. I found this very much
suspense.
Yeah, very much forced suspense. No one is opening that door as slowly as that door is opened.
So then, they're in there and the guys knocks on the door. Someone in there, I'm coming in. Then Norma gets a gun. She's like, hear that? That's a gun. Get out. Down the stairs, now the front door. It's like, I don't argue with a lady with a gun. And then you hear his footsteps, and then Norma goes out the window to see if he's gone. He's like, wait, he hasn't come out yet, but then Miss Bronson unlocks the door, and then the guy comes in. Shirtless man. Well, he has a jacket, but no shirt.
Yeah.
It's a good look, a good fall look.
Yeah, oh man. Hottest new style these days. Presented by Brain Games The Game. Wearing a jacket and a shirt, if you're wearing a jacket and no shirt, is proven to make more people like you in our clinical study where we asked people to look at a photo of someone and they were compared with people wearing hoodies, people wearing a jacket and a shirt, people wearing a jacket and no shirt. And people said they liked the jacket and no shirt one with an R value of 0.33.
And why does this happen, though? Well, when you look at a shirtless dude wearing a jacket, it releases dopamine in your brain. Dopamine is your brain's reward center, and it makes you feel good. And for more tidbits like that, the Buy Brain Games The Game, our sponsor. He, takes her gun, and then... Oh, I forgot to mention it, but this whole episode, well, mostly in the second half, it's sweaty, sweat everywhere. It's pretty much the pinnacle.
I wonder why they did not collect the sweat.
In a jar and drink
they
it?
were not smart. You gotta stay hydrated, man.
He gets the water from the fridge, drinks it, pours it on himself, and then glass breaks it. And then the sweat is just dripping off it. You can just see it
sweat.
coming.
He poured the water on his forehead.
Oh, that's a good point.
Did you actually think that was
sweat?
sweat?
That upsets me now. Yeah, it must be water. It was just because in the next shot, it's coming off. And that would take some attention to detail to be like, oh, we just poured water on his head. Now he's going to...
Yeah.
Now we have to reapply it. Especially for a television show, but I guess that's what they were going for. Oh, dang it, I thought it was sweat. So, he sees the painting. He's like, these yours? You paint real good. My wife used to paint. Puts down the gun. I'm nice, actually. She was so fragile. She couldn't take the heat. She didn't live more than an hour. Oh, I'm crying.
Or it's her baby didn't live more than an hour and she went after
Oh! Sorry, I missed it. Her baby didn't live more than an hour, and then she left and ran away.
No, and then she went.
And then she died.
Yeah, they're both done.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then...
This guy wasn't a bad actor, but he spoke for too long and with not enough support, and he lost my attention.
I don't agree with that, but that's just me. So then he cries, oh, I'm a decent man, I'm just looking for water. Wouldn't you do any harm? He says it a little bit better than that. Please forgive me. Then Norma nods. Norma's face when he's describing how he's really nice. I don't know. Her face is just perfect. Her expression really works. It's not like Mrs. Schuster. But no, Norma's face really works. Norma's very good. She's very real. And then I dropped a little piece of paper. Miss Bronson is all curled up, and then he leaves. Sorry, haha. Bronson, she cries, but then she sees the waterfall painting. I've seen waterfalls like that before. I just love the sound. Can you hear it, Norma? When I was a little girl, I would just go up to the cool, clear water. Ooh, let's swim in it. It sounds comical. It's sort of comical, but it's really cool because it's she is her brain is being affected by the heat. Now she doesn't even think of stuff, and she doesn't think, oh, I probably look weird. Now he just gives into this impulse and and then I don't know, it works.
And it's her impulse, and but she's going up against the window, and then she falls.
And the fall. Can we talk about the fall for a little while?
The fall.
It's so slow
is
and so comical. It's I can't think of a worse fall. It must have been intentional. They must have said go down slowly, but I don't know why.
Do you think she fell to the ground and
I don't know what was up with that. It's weird. It's weird. It's takes you out of it so fast. Norma is like, Mrs. Bronson, oh no.
And then the thermometer cracks.
And the painting melts. And then she's like, ah! And
then the mercury boils.
Scream, it's a great scream. Mm-hmm. And then she falls to the ground, and then it's snowing outside. Below zero. What? Norma wakes up. She had a fever. She was sick. And then there's
Man in suit explaining thing.
Yes, well, she'll be fine. Technically, Miss Bronson explains it because Miss Bronson is there. I don't know if she's in a different form or if her name is still Miss Bronson. I don't know what her relationship is to Norma in the context of real life. She's like, oh, there was a dude, a scientist on the radio said the Earth was moving from the sun, and then the doctor was talking about how he's like, oh, the medicine's pretty much gone, and now I'm gonna move south. to Miami. Or, yeah, that's right.
My friend has a private plane.
Miami, I'm going to Miami. My friend has a private plane. Miss Bronson, this is a really weird line delivered. He's like, on the radio, a scientist said that the Earth is moving from the sun. In 2 weeks, we're all gonna die. We're just gonna be frozen. He's like, okay, cool. And then he leaves. It's like a pretty nonchalant line delivery.
Yeah.
And also a problem is that in the midnight sun, they're like, it's like so obviously hot. Here they're like wearing a coat. They could be like really like cold throughout this whole scene.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the direction, didn't really get that.
Now, I have a thing. A complaint. It's a science complaint presented by Brain Games the Game.
Yeah, expand your brain with science.
Yeah. If it was really, really frigid, there would not be a snowstorm outside.
And why?
Because, I mean, I don't know what happens, but like with like really cold temperatures. But usually you don't see precip.
Interesting. What do you think of this expository dialogue? It's probably the best they could do.
Oh wait, we forgot to say something.
It's really only great because it mirrors what you said earlier.
We forgot to say something. A glass break.
Yeah, the thermometer was a glass break. And then Norma's like, I had a dream. There was a midnight sun. Nice!
Name drop.
You know what's so funny is that...
the midnight sun? We got it. We gotta let that happen.
Got it. Well, do we though? I think it's a rare enough combination of words. It's not like the grave, where it's like visit his grave. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Like the midnight sun. It's funny how I used to like hate name drops, but now I just sort of think they're like amusing because it's like a fun little thing to look out for. She was like, oh, isn't it wonderful to have coolness? And then Miss Bronson is like, oh yes, it's wonderful.
It's interesting irony that like Norma has no idea they're still
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, it's sort of cool. So then that's the end of the episode.
I'm going to do a quick summary of the episode.
Okay.
Engaging minute and a half. Toronto, we're trying to go to Toronto. Removes me
Mr.
from
Coaster has a cousin there.
Yeah, removes me from the plot of the episode entirely, and I am disengaged, and I don't.
Doesn't happen with me because
then I fall back. Then I fall back into it, and then
painting?
Yeah, and then the beating up of the painting sort of is like, what is happening a little there?
It's not that bad.
Well, yeah, but there was enough that made me like, and then we go back, and then like, I laughed during the monologue of that shirtless guy.
Ugh.
It was I don't know.
I think what you're saying, I feel like these problems are pretty minor. Besides the comical collapse.
Yeah, and then like the comical death, and then the bad expository dialogue. And I just feel like there was enough that I think it's an interesting plot, and it's like, there's a lot of good stuff, but there were enough minor things that...
No, but they were just so
lost
minor.
my focus in the plot.
And it does a lot of stuff really well. It's just cool. That's the world building they do and the bleakness of it.
Yeah, I do like a lot of stuff in this
Norma
episode.
is very good. And Miss Bronson is often very good as well.
Mm-hmm. If I want to improve the episode.
Ah.
Salvage Team, presented by Brain Games the Game. Cut the episode in half and make it 10 minutes.
What do you cut? Do you cut the looter guy?
Yeah, well, we don't cut the looter guy. But did you notice that the looter guy's monologue was excruciatingly long?
No.
Well, just halfway through, I was like, you have said this. Yes, I realize you've said this about 45 times. I know where you're going. You're so filled with cliches. Couldn't that have been 5 minutes faster?
I don't know, it didn't feel that long.
Really?
It didn't feel like he was repeating himself. And the twist is cool.
It's been used by the Twilight Zone a lot, I think. Where is everybody? Perchance to dream?
I guess the Twilight Zone has used
it's enough of... So the reason that I don't mind the twist is because then they add, they're actually going the other direction and they're going to die.
Yeah, that's sort of cool and interesting, because it's like...
And because then she's like, oh, it was so hot, I'm so happy it's not hot.
But then it's like, are you happy? Is it better? 3, 2, 1, 8.5.
Oh, rating split!
Rating split!
Rating split!
I was pretty close to an 8. That was the tough one decision, but then 8.5. Yeah, it's good. Actually, that might have been a little generous. No, it's a very good episode. Has its problems, but overall, quite solid.
I thought the problems were unluckily placed.
I feel like the only one that was really bad enough for me to take me out of it was the collapse.
Yeah, I don't know. If, like, they were all in one scene, like, you could have stomached that scene and then gone on and it would have been fine. But they were spread out enough that it took you out of it every time.
Well, next episode we're going to be discussing Still Valley. We'll see you then. Bye.